Because you gotta love it. It's great here.
I love the city. It's always a bit of an adjustment because in New York...
In her late 40s, Katie Holmes is finally letting a little daylight into the chapter she guarded for years. What it was really like being married to Tom Cruise, and how Scientology sat in the middle of their world, even when nobody said its name out loud. For a long time, the public lived on whispers. Was their romance real or staged? Did she feel trapped? Did she leave to protect her daughter? Katie didn't feed the noise. She stayed measured, polite, and almost painfully quiet. But as she's spoken more about trusting her instincts and choosing peace, people have started hearing the meaning behind the careful wording.
No matter what, if someone's being nice to you or if they're being mean to you, they're yelling at you.
Which Tom is a senior Scientologist. He's single-handedly saving the planet. That is a truth. I'm not trying to be funny. That is what we're told.
To understand why this story still hits so hard, you have to remember how fast it moved. Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes went from a headline-making first date to going public, getting engaged, expecting a baby, and marrying in roughly 18 months. It was love at maximum volume, flashbulbs, grand gestures, and attention so intense, it felt like a movie that never stopped filming. And it wasn't only the speed, it was the imbalance.
That is what we're told. So if you say anything about him or do something like what Katie did, which was take her daughter and save her daughter's life, she's considered an enemy.
Tom was already a global icon. Top Gun, Jerry Maguire, Mission Impossible, A Few Good Men, an actor whose name alone could pack theaters. Katie was famous, yes, but still building her adult lane after Dawson's Creek. She had momentum, but not Tom Cruise power. Back in 2004, she even told 17 magazine she used to dream of marrying him. At the time, it read like harmless teen mag fantasy.
It's something that has helped me incredibly in my life.
Yeah.
I've been a Scientologist for over 30 years,
Yeah.
and it's something that, as you know, without it, I wouldn't be where I am.
Yeah.
Then in 2005, it became real. So quickly, people didn't just watch, they questioned. That spring, Katie had recently ended her engagement to actor Chris Klein, a breakup that surprised fans. Not long after, cameras caught her stepping away mid-interview for a private phone call, and she was heard saying, "I love you." She later brushed it off, but the timing added fuel to the fire. By April 2005, Tom and Katie were public in Rome, where Tom accepted an award and the relationship became the real headline. Almost instantly, people wondered if it was a PR setup. Tom had War of the Worlds coming. Katie had Batman Begins. Tabloids ran with theories, and the internet went into overdrive.
Yeah, our family's gonna chill, and we're gonna, you know, we like taking those times. I mean, that is a very special time, all these holidays.
Then came the Oprah moment, the couch jump that turned their relationship into pop culture history. Instead of staying cool and promotional, Tom poured out emotion, declaring he was in love. Years later, some people around the business claimed the scene was emphasized in editing, but it didn't matter. The image was permanent. From that point on, Tom and Katie didn't just date in public, they were followed like a live broadcast. Tom proposed after only a couple of months, reportedly at the Eiffel Tower, and they announced the engagement with the kind of spectacle Hollywood loves. In October 2005, they revealed Katie was pregnant. In April 2006, their daughter Suri was born, and Tom spoke about it like a spiritual event, calling her a miracle and describing a joy he couldn't contain. But right alongside that fairy tale branding sat a powerful reality: Tom's deep connection to the Church of Scientology and the way that connection shaped his life. This is where things get complicated, because many of the most dramatic claims about that period come from reporting, former insiders, and memoirs, meaning they should be treated as allegations unless independently verified. Still, one thing isn't debated. Tom was, and remains, Scientology's most famous celebrity face, and his relationships have always been viewed through that lens. A major Vanity Fair investigation published during the height of Tomcat described a behind-the-scenes environment where Scientology was not just a belief system, but a presence. Staff, handlers, and a culture of discipline that outsiders found hard to understand. The article helped cement the idea that Katie wasn't simply dating Tom Cruise. She was entering an ecosystem. One detail from that era that keeps resurfacing is the chaperone story. Vanity Fair and other reporting described a Scientologist who was frequently by Katie's side early on and during travel, sometimes speaking for her in interviews and steering sensitive questions away. Supporters framed it as normal protection in a chaotic media storm. Critics saw it as monitoring. Katie publicly insisted she wasn't pressured. She also spoke at times about being intrigued by Scientology and taking courses, while still describing herself as connected to her Catholic upbringing. To the outside world, it looked like she was trying to stay calm, while the whole planet dissected her every move. Their wedding in November 2006 in Italy sealed the image. A castle setting, designer glamour, huge celebrity guest list, and a ceremony that reportedly included Scientology elements alongside traditional vows. David Miscavige, Scientology's leader, was widely reported to be present. It looked like the perfect beginning. But even in the glow, some people close to Katie reportedly felt uneasy, especially her family, rooted in Catholic tradition, who were worried about how much of Katie's new life seemed controlled by forces she didn't fully own. Whether those worries were fair or not, the vibe began to shift as real life crept in. By 2010, rumors of tension were louder. Katie gave glowing interviews, but observers noticed how carefully she spoke, how tightly her public life seemed managed, and how rarely she appeared fully free. Around that same time, smaller controversies added to the "this is not a normal household" narrative, like Tom saying he'd bought an ultrasound machine for personal use during Katie's pregnancy. Health agencies have cautioned that ultrasound should be used for medical purposes under professional guidance, and the story struck many as another example of how unconventional their private life could be. Another unsettling anecdote came later from Leah Remini, a former Scientologist, who wrote in her memoir that she witnessed moments around the wedding that made her uncomfortable, describing a tense scene involving people hovering around baby Suri. Personal recollections aren't the same as court evidence, but they added to the sense that life inside that bubble followed strict social codes. Then, in June 2012, the fairy tale ended with surgical speed. Katie filed for divorce, and the timing stunned everyone, right before Tom's 50th birthday while he was away filming. The key detail people still talk about is how strategic it appeared. Reports said Katie changed phones, adjusted staff, tightened security, and leaned heavily on her father, an attorney, for planning. She filed in New York, where custody culture was seen as more favorable for a parent seeking stability. What Katie wanted, according to multiple outlets, wasn't a money war. It was custody and control, schooling, healthcare decisions, and most importantly, spiritual influence. Former Scientologists and media reporting have long claimed she feared Suri could be pulled deeper into Scientology as she grew older. Whether that fear was fully accurate or not, it has always sounded like the engine behind the divorce. The legal process wrapped in about 11 days, which is almost unheard of for a split this famous. Reports at the time said Tom agreed to substantial child support and to cover Suri's education and expenses, while Katie gained primary custody. Both sides released careful, respectful statements. No mudslinging, no televised courtroom battle. Just a clean cut. And then came the part that has never stopped haunting people. After the split, Tom's visible connection to Suri appeared to fade to nothing. There were early reports of at least one visit, but as the years passed, there were no public photos, no shared milestones, and no meaningful public mentions. Tom continued doing what Tom does: global premieres, massive stunts. Mission impossible after mission impossible. Then the Top Gun returned. While Suri grew up almost entirely in New York with Katie, away from red carpets and away from the celebrity bubble that created her, Tom has pushed back legally against the idea that he abandoned his daughter. In 2013, he filed a defamation lawsuit against Bauer Media after publications claimed he'd deserted Suri, and in a later deposition connected to other litigation, He was asked about the assertion that Katie left to protect Suri from Scientology. He rejected the framing while acknowledging it was one of the claims being made about the divorce. Over time, outlets have also reported that Tom continued meeting the financial responsibilities laid out in the divorce agreement, even as the personal relationship stayed out of public view. This is where public speculation becomes a sensitive area: Scientology's policies around people who leave the church. Critics argue that disconnection culture can pressure members to cut ties with those labeled hostile to Scientology. The church disputes that framing and says relationships are personal choices. But the controversy is why so many people believe the faith, not romance, ultimately decided the shape of Tom and Suri's relationship. Meanwhile, Katie built a life that looked deliberately normal. She raised Suri with routines, school, dance, city life, quiet weekends, keeping her away from cameras as much as possible. In later interviews, Katie described the post-divorce period as overwhelming but clarifying. She talked about learning to trust herself and shared small moments where the kindness of strangers helped her survive the pressure of being watched. Katie's romantic life after Tom was also shaped by privacy. When she and Jamie Foxx were linked, it reportedly stayed quiet for years. Some outlets claimed Katie had a clause limiting public dating or public discussion of the marriage for a set period. Neither Katie nor Tom has publicly confirmed those specific terms, but the way she moved, careful, guarded, controlled, fit the idea that she was prioritizing safety and stability. So when people say Katie is breaking her silence now, it isn't because she's giving a scorched earth interview. It's because she's no longer speaking like someone still living inside fear. She speaks like someone who got out, rebuilt, and refuses to be pulled back into a story she doesn't control. And the biggest question isn't actually about romance anymore. It's about influence. Was Scientology the invisible gravity that bent everything toward separation? Or was the marriage always too unequal, too fast, and too public to survive? Whatever you believe, one truth is hard to ignore. Katie Holmes didn't just leave a husband. She left a system, and she raised her daughter in a different world. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit like if this made you rethink what you thought you knew, and subscribe for more stories that dig past the headlines.